Let's discuss my early 1850s capsule wardrobe. Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin. I'm a living historian who educates other living historians by teaching old-fashioned sewing skills and copying original garments. We've been going through my living history wardrobe mostly just to streamline it because I know I have a lot of excess pieces, but there are things in my wardrobe that are missing that I probably could use. And also is to help with storage space because we don't live in a huge house, and so storage can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge, and so I want to make sure I have as few pieces as possible to get me whatever I need. Now for the 1850s, I do working class, but I also do leisure class or middle class as well. So I need a little bit more in my wardrobe than in some other time periods where I may only do working class, for instance. And all of this ends in my little Excel spreadsheet that keeps all of my garments listed in the time period that they are appropriate for. So I know exactly what to pull for each one, and also color coded by whether they are done, if I need to purchase something, or if I need to work on something or make something, or if it's on display at a museum, because that happens sometimes too. So it's very helpful for me when I go packing for an event. Instead of having to keep everything straight in my brain, I go to my Excel sheet and I go to that year and I go, okay, these are the stockings I can get, these are the shoes I can have, I need the corset, I'm doing working class, let me do this dress and this apron. All of that is encompassed within the spreadsheet, and it makes my job a little bit easier when, say, I have 4 weekends in a row. One weekend is 1830s, one is 1940s, the next is 1860s, and the next is 1880s. It's kind of hard to keep all that in track in my brain. Now, we don't do that much right now. It's more or less once or twice a month at this point, but there have been instances of that. There was one year where I think I did 8 or 10 events in a row, like just weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend. Those are the days, those are fun. And when you do different time periods, it can be difficult to keep all that in track in your brain. I have an Excel spreadsheet for all that to keep my sanity, and so I will share that at the end after we go through all of the clothes. It also allows me, if I look at something, if I'm doing an 1851 event, for example, and I go to the tab we're making today, and I quickly see that, oh, I don't actually have a silk dress for this time period, and I'm doing upper class. Okay, I have silk in my stash, maybe I just need to work on that. Or, oh, half my chemises are in the mending pile right now. That's why I can't find them in the closet. It also takes me time looking for things that are in other places for very specific reasons, because I will forget from time to time. And also, a lot of things mentioned in this video have been made on the channel, and I will link those in the description. I'll link the videos in the description if you'd be interested in watching them. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with footwear. If you've seen any other of my capsule wardrobe videos, you'll know my stocking situation. They are all, with all my garters, stuffed into a little box. I have 4 white cotton pairs of stockings. I have 2 colored pair of stockings. One's yellow, one's brown. I don't know if that makes a difference, but those are my colored stockings. I have 2 pairs of white clocked silk stockings. I have 2 pairs of black silk stockings. 2 pairs of wool stockings that are very heavyweight. They actually don't fit into a lot of my shoes, so I mostly wear those for nighttime. If we're doing a cold weather event, a lot of the places we stay at don't have heating or AC, and so if it's cold outside, it's cold inside as well. So I will wear those more for sleeping. And I do have 1 pair of lighter weight wool stockings, and I need to get a second pair, but I don't remember where I bought those from. So yeah. And then for garters, there are 2 pair of knitted garters that are made from heritage breed sheep's wool and dyed with dyes that were found here locally in Texas. So I have the cochineal one, which is actually not looking very nice right now. It used to be a bright fuchsia, and I didn't dye it. I think someone else, I bought the yarn dyed, and I don't know if they used a great fixer because it is now very much like light yellow. And so next time I do a cochineal pot, I'm just going to throw those in, and we'll get ourselves a nice brighter color. Now, natural dyes do fade a lot quicker than modern synthetic dyes, but that was a little bit faster than I was expecting. I also have a pair of needlework garters that we made on the channel for 1830s. They still work for this time period. I actually have a second pair cut out that I never finished. It is purple, and I think I have the embroidery of 1 garter done, and I think I have half the embroidery done on the other. So it would take me like 3 hours to finish the entire thing. So why they're not done beats me, but yeah, they're not done. I always forget that I have them, and then I go into the forbidden box of forgotten projects and I realize that, oh, these are still there. You know, it really wouldn't take me that long to get to them. But then I'm usually looking for something specific to work on, something that's very specific that I need for an event or for a video. And so they just get forgotten again. So basically I have 3 pairs of garters with one that's like 3/4 of the way done. For shoes, this is a time period where you need the square toe and also like no heel. This is a few years before we get the heel. And would you believe finding leather or wool or silk boots or shoes with square toes, a period shape, and no heel is like impossible. You can get ones that are decent, but they have the 1-inch heel, which isn't good quite yet. And so I need to make my own shoes. I have a book on it, a period book. I have made some shoes in the past. I have made slippers and I have made baby shoes. And I have all the supplies, I have all the tools, I have the book, and I have a pattern, and I have the last. I literally have everything I need except for the time to do it. But when I finally get to it, those will be my 1825 to 1855 good boots. I'm going to make probably 2 pair, a leather pair and a wool pair with leather boxing. Because honestly, they can be used for about, again, that 30-year time frame, so that makes them very useful. So I think it'd be worth it to make both pairs. So for current shoes, I do have a couple pairs of slippers. I have 2 leather slippers, one that's white, one that's black. So right now what I have for shoes, what I have been using, is my American Duchess Elizas, which are no longer being made. They were discontinued. I don't know why, because they're amazing little shoes. And I have a black pair and a brown pair. Brown pair has been chewed through by the dog. When I first got her, she had a lot of anxiety issues. And the black pair is usable. I have the leather is really wearing in some areas and I need to reinforce it, but they are wearable. So that's really, I have that 1 pair of shoes. And sometimes you don't want shoes. You want a good solid boot. I don't have a boot for this time period, which is one of the reasons I really need to find the time to do it. I'm hoping maybe next year I can do that. Also, I'm pretty sure I can fix the brown Elizas. I just haven't done so. I might actually have the leather where I can do it. I would just have to sit down with it. I mean, at this point, if I screw them up, how bad is it really? Because I can't use them, I can't wear them anyway because half of the upper is gone on one shoe. So like, how bad can it really be? You know, like if I screw them up, am I really out? I'm not really out a pair of shoes. They're unusable the way they are. So if I screw them up, they're still unusable. Like, I'm not gonna get myself in any worse situation. If anything, I'll make it better. So that's something else I can just work on. And that's about it for footwear. So now for underwear. My 2 basic cotton linen blend yoked chemise style that we did make on the channel. I wear those mostly for my chemises. I do have an original chemise that is tatted. It's in my collection. And I don't tat. I have tried many years to tat. I've had like 5 or 6 different teachers, excellent teachers. It doesn't process in my brain. It's like the one thing that I have tried that I can't do. And it does keep me up at night sometimes because I feel like if it's humanly possible, I am human, I should be able to do it because I am human. And it is humanly possible. So therefore I should be able to do it. And tatting just is, I can't. I would love to because I have some of my ancestors tatting shuttles and I would love to be able to use them and have that connection, but yeah, nothing. So I'm looking for a piece of tatting and it has to be big enough. There's like an insertion and then there's like an edging, and it has to be enough to go around the whole neck and both sleeves, and I also want enough to go around my legs because I would like a matching pair of drawers. And finding that, like enough tatting to go around that is white, not cream or ecru or off-white. It has to be white, like stark white, and in the sizes I need and in the thread gauge that I need has been extremely difficult. So I'm still on the lookout for that. Once I find it, then we will have a 3rd chemise and a pair of drawers. I also have other drawers that would work for this time period, but I hate drawers and I don't have to wear them in this time period, so I don't. Corset. So technically I have a corset that we made on the channel from this time period. It is on display at a museum because I didn't really use it that much. Now I'm doing this time period a little bit more. I'm like, I could probably use that, but I also don't really like that corset. It wasn't as comfortable as it ought to be, and I can't figure out why because I traced my favorite corset for that corset. And so why it's not working, like I don't know why it's not as comfortable, but it isn't. So I need to remake it. Which isn't necessarily the problem. It's just going to be what I made for my wedding corset, which I still have that pattern. I'm going to add some gussets, take a little bit out from the back because these grew and then everything else kind of shrunk since then. and I can make that up, and I just wouldn't do a front opening bust. That's really the only difference between like an 1860s corset and a corset from this time period. The gussets are a little bit longer, but they're not like my 1840s corset that we just made, so I wouldn't really wear that to events. So technically, I can wear my front opening corset bust for this time period as long as no one else is seeing it, which I have a habit of undressing myself to show people what corsets look like, so that would not be appropriate. So at the moment, what I'm wearing is my 1840s corset, which isn't ideal. It's not the best shape for this early 1850s time period, but it is passable in a lot of situations. So it is on my list early next year to make a corset for this time period. So for my petticoats, most of my petticoats will work. I have a machine sewn under petticoat and then a hand sewn one. Both of those are perfectly fine for this time period. I technically have 2/4 petticoats, one that I wove myself, which is a little bit shorter than I like it to be, so I don't usually wear that one. I also have one that's completely machine sewn, that has cords like halfway up the whole skirt, so I will wear that. And then I have 2 petticoats that go over top, one that has tucks in it and one that is plain. This is actually pared down quite a bit because I used to have like 5 under petticoats, and I realized that I really don't need that many, because back in the day I would make whole underpinning sets that matched. My chemise, my drawers, a corset, and my chemise, drawers, petticoat, and corset cover would all match. So if they were plain, and one had waved braid, the whole set had waved braid. One had embroidered like a white work, all the rest of them had the matching white work. And I just realized that's a lot, and I don't use that many. I almost never wear corset covers because you don't have to. And actually in this time period, they're called petticoat bodies, not corset covers. And you rarely need them. Unless you're wearing something super sheer, you don't need them. And I only have one outfit that would qualify for that. So I really only need one corset cover, and I don't need that many petticoats. So the rest of the petticoats I've actually taken out of my closet, and I put them into my to be made into something else pile. Because it's nice, soft, used cotton, which is great for a lot of things, honestly. I've also considered, for this time period and a little bit before and a little bit after, getting some modern cotton crinoline and making like a crinoline or a horsehair petticoat. Ideally, I would be able to weave my own out of horsehair, and I would love to do that one day. I just don't think that's in the cards right now. So I'm wondering if modern cotton horsehair, like the crinoline, would function. My concern with it is if it got damp or wet, that the starch that holds it out wouldn't work, and you don't want this synthetic stuff, especially for living history purposes, because there's a lot of fire within living history. So it'd have to be the cotton stuff, and I'm not entirely sure how that would hold up, if it's worth the effort. But I might try it, just because we're going to be doing a lot of late 1840s and early 1850s stuff, so maybe it'll be worth the attempt. And then for other petticoats, I have 2 wool petticoats that I use for working. I have one that's brown. That is my go-to. I wear it all the time. And then my plaid one is on display at a museum under a reproduction dress. So I don't have access to that, but if I really wanted to, I could pull it off for a weekend or so. So technically there are those 2. And then for nightgowns, I have a tucked nightgown that's great for this time period. I also have a Canton flannel nightgown, but I'm not sure about the accuracy of using Canton flannel for a night dress in this particular time period. I know it's great for like late 50s, early 60s. I don't know if it's good. I don't know how far back that goes. So I left it off the list, and as I do more research, I may add it back on. But I don't do a lot of events where I would want the flannel night dress. I think the tucked usual one is fine. And now for dresses. So for dresses, I have a brown print that we made on the channel, and I made the same pattern and the same style up in a very bright light sky blue. That is my favorite wool I've ever worked with in my entire life. I love the color. You don't get pretty colors of wool very often. I am fortunate enough to have, how many dresses do I have of blue wool? And I also have the red wool as well. I have a few dresses that are very beautifully colored wool, like they would have had back then, which is very hard to find. Usually wool today is very somber, very dark colors. It's not as nice as the wools they used to have back in the day. I've been able throughout the years to collect a few pieces, which I love, and this happens to be like one of my favorite dresses only because of the color and the fact that it's a beautiful wool. And then I have a purple silk taffeta skirt that is completely made. It's like 2 tiers. I made it with a white basque, which we'll talk about in a minute. I have 2 bodices cut out for that skirt, matching silk bodices, an evening one and a day one. I don't even remember how I cut them out or what style I used. Like, it's been that long. It's like 3 or 4 moves ago, actually. but they're all still there. And so one day we're going to make those up. I just haven't done it yet. And something else I did like 3 or 4 moves ago was a sheer dress for this time period. I have it completely cut out. I had the bodice, I think, almost done. It's fitted. Because I have pictures of me when I did a fitting of it. But I never actually finished it. And so that might be something we can do if I decide I need it. I haven't needed it yet, which is why it's still in the incomplete pile. But that is a possibility. Like, I can finish that, and it probably wouldn't take very long. The fabric's a plaid. It reminded me very much of a fashion plate, so I'm like copying a particular fashion plate, and it has a very deep V. So I'm also going to need a very highly decorated chemisette, which is in the plans as well. So I'm going to need a tucked one, and then also like I want a pretty white work embroidered one, and that's going to have to be done by hand. And then this is the time period where you can have like a different colored top to your bottom, especially with silk and wool skirts. And we call these basques usually, or jackets. There's lots of different terms for basically the same garment. So I have one in wool. It's a black wool, and it has these lovely little scallops. I would like to actually trim that at some point in time. And I think it needs a new collar and undersleeve set because I don't like the ones I chose. And it does need to be slightly refitted. It was too big in the waist by a couple of inches, if I remember correctly. It was fine like right here, but like when it got down to like the 2 or 3 inches by my waist, it was just, I could like pull on the fabric, and it just needs a very quick refix. It would take me like 5 minutes. I just haven't worn it in a while, so I would need to get my corset on and check the fit, and it's not worth it unless I'm going to actually be wearing it, because my body style might change again by the time I actually do wear it. So that's something I'm purposely waiting to do until I decide to wear that basque. And then I also have a cotton sheer basque. It's very nice, light and fine. And that's the one thing I have to wear a corset cover underneath. But both of those basques can be worn with that wool skirt. It can also be worn with the silk skirt. It wouldn't be worn with the cotton skirt. And actually I can't really wear it with the wool skirt because I have that bodice directly attached to that skirt. Which means if I wanted to wear the blue skirt, the blue wool with one of those basques, I would have to take it off the bodice and put it to its own waistband, which isn't an issue. It just means it's more work, but it just means that I would have more opportunity to wear the skirt. And then for my wrapper of this time period, I have a green serpentine cotton wrapper that we made on the channel. And that's it for dresses and outfits, essentially. And it really isn't all that bad. I have one cotton dress, one wool dress, one silk dress kind of, and one kind of sheer dress, which is like one of each option is a really good, solid wardrobe. I could probably do without the sheer. I haven't really needed it. And then the 2 basques greatly increase the wardrobe size. I mean, it's really only the cotton dress that has to stay as it is. I can mix and match both the wool and the silk skirts with either one of those 2 basques and get 4 more outfits that way. Oh, and we have the Elytra dress. I forgot about that because it's not done. How could I forget about the Elytra dress that we're working on, the beetle wing dress that we are working on. So that is perfectly within this time period. That would be like my very fanciest dress that I will probably ever own, ever. Yeah, it'll just be an evening dress. It'll be my fanciest evening dress. So that will give me 2 evening gowns. It'll give me the ball gown, the Elytra dress, and it'll give me a nice evening dress with the purple silk, which is not a ball gown because it's too dark and too muted of colors to be a ball gown. So it's just gonna be like a dinner dress or just a generic evening gown. And that dress is very nearly done. I think I have 2, maybe 3 more months of embroidery and it'll be done. And to be honest, 99% of what I wear for this particular time period has been the cotton dress, the wool dress, the silk skirt, and those 2 basques. I could go without, I could even go without the silk skirt, honestly, because I would still have the wool I could wear the 3 bodices with. I could wear the regular bodice or either one of the basques. So even technically the silk dress is a little superficial, but I probably will keep it. If I got rid of anything, it would be that sheer dress. And okay, to be fair, the Elytra dress is probably will be my least used dress, and it probably is the most superficial. But that is like a once in a lifetime project. You only do that type of thing once in your life. And that dress is gonna be mine forever. Once I get it done, it's never budging. Like that dress is my dress. Let's now talk accessories, starting with aprons. I do have a lot of aprons. Aprons will never be an issue for me, but I do tend to go through them pretty quickly, so it's a good thing to have extras. It's also something that fits everybody, and so if we have a new living historian who just pulled together a basic outfit, I can lend them an apron, I can lend them a shawl to kind of complete their look, and it will fit anybody, no matter what their size. I have a plaid one that was my first apron that I ever made. It's on display at the museum. It is pretty much threadbare, but it is functioning. It looks decent. You have to actually look at it to know that it's threadbare. And since it's just at the museum, kind of showing, it's all my things that are on display at the museum are for a touch and feel exhibit. Like, we don't let people touch the original garments, obviously, but it's like well-made reproduction garments that are made exactly the way they would be back then, just so people can like lift the skirts and see like what's underneath, or like take apart the bodice and like see a corset. It's a little bit more of an interactive exhibit type situation, but it gets like no use, and it's just like sitting in a museum. So like I figured that was a really good use for my almost completely worn out, apron. And then we recently made a pinner. I have 2 pinner aprons. I have the gray one, which it has been burned through so many times. I don't usually burn myself. Like, I don't usually catch my skirts or my aprons on fire, but for some reason, every time I wear that particular apron, I manage to lean over in some coals or something. And so that the whole bottom of it is basically gone. I've only burned 1 other apron in my entire life, and it's the gray one, and I have one that I just recently burned. But other than that, I've never had an issue with them, and it's not an apron I wear often. I've worn it like 3 times, and I've burned it like 3 times. So that one probably does need to be retired, if nothing else, maybe for superstitious reasons. Yeah, so I have that one, and then I have my new pinner apron, the black one that we made, and I also made a white half apron in that video as well. Gloves in this era are wrist length. I happened to luck into a lot of vintage kid leather gloves on eBay several years ago. It was like $30 and I got like 10 pairs of gloves. So I have like 2 pairs of black gloves and a pair of brown gloves and a pair of pink gloves and a pair of green gloves, and like I have a lot of gloves. I have white gloves, green gloves, so I have my gloves covered. And then for jewelry, I have 2 original brooches, 2 reproduction brooches, although I haven't seen one of them in a little bit, so I wonder if I lent it out and forgot to get it back. I have a host of reproduction earrings, like most of them were done by Beth Miller Hall, and the rest of them I made myself. Although I could probably use some really nice period bracelets. Bracelets are something I would like. And Beth Miller Hall does some really good ones, so maybe I do need to invest in some of those. I do wear my period jewelry a lot of time for modern wear as well, so they get a lot of use. I have 2 hair combs. I have a tortoiseshell one and a black one. Both are made by Beth Miller Hall. And I wear those for modern wear too, so they actually sit with my modern clothes because I use them most there, and then if I want them for events, I have access to them. And then I have an antique watch that probably dates to like the 1870s, 1880s, and then I have a reproduction pocket watch. I'm looking for a good period ladies pocket watch that works. It's been hard to find one because I want one that's very small. Like, I want the small type of ladies pocket watch that's really dainty. So I've been on my list for a couple of years, but the ones at antique stores are either too big, they're not the right style, they're not the right time period, or they don't work. Finding one that's what I'm looking for has been difficult. For parasols, I do have a couple of uncovered frames for this time period that I could use. They're in the sewing room already. They either came to me recovered or the cover was in literal shreds, and so I just took it off. And I have the silk to recover them. It's literally, again, a time thing. I just need to sit down and actually do them. Well, it's not time. It's time and motivation. It's both of those things together. And that should get me at least 2. Oh, I do have a parasol. I have my blue one. It's actually my favorite parasol. I can't believe I forgot about it. It's appropriate for this time period. So I have 1 parasol, and I have 2 more that are going to get recovered, and it will be great for this time period as well. So that'll do me really well. 3 parasols is more than I really need. But it's also one of those things where most people don't have parasols, and so the fact that I have several of them, it's another thing I can lend out to people because they fit everybody. And then also for accessories, each dress has its own collar and either cuffs or undersleeve set, so I don't have to keep extra sets. So there's one that belongs to each dress, and I just wash it as needed and put it back on its dress. So I didn't count that separate, but again, I do need 2 chemisettes for this time period. I'm thinking a tucked one, it's a little bit plainer, easier to do, but still looks really nice. And then I'm thinking a very nicely embroidered one. I think I might have a period drawing of one, like the embroidery pattern, so I could easily do that. I think it's 1850s. And then for working, I usually wear kerchiefs around my neck. I have 2 white cotton ones. I would like 2 cotton linen ones, so that is on my to-do list as well. And then I have several plaid ones as well. Like I have a pink plaid, and I have a green plaid and a blue plaid, I believe. And then for headwear, I recently just bought a sheer white cotton sunbonnet off Danielle Perry at Timely Tresses. It works for this time period, and it's my go-to summer bonnet right now because it's nice and cool. I actually wore it. We went to an amusement park like 2-3 weeks ago, and I didn't want to have to carry a hat because a hat wouldn't fit into my pocket when I went on rides. And so I brought that sunbonnet, and I wore that around. My sister and my husband said I looked like a Mennonite, but I didn't get sunburned. My husband got sunburned a little bit. I didn't because I wore the bonnet. It may have looked weird, but it did work. I'm pretty sure I can push my gray slat bonnet this early, but I may need to re-look into that. But I have the white sheer bonnet, and I almost never do like severe working class for this time period, so I figure it's not that big of a deal. If I need one, I'll make one, but I don't think I will need one. And then for real bonnets, I have a silk bonnet that is probably my favorite bonnet. It is my favorite bonnet I've ever made, ever. As far as favorite bonnet that I own, it kind of ties with one that Danielle, that I bought off Danielle. But yeah, my favorite bonnet that I ever made, we have a video on it. It's directly copied from an original. I mean, it took so much work. It has everything. It has the cane, like it's a drawn bonnet, so it has like the ruching and the cane. It has little tiny ruffles. It's beautifully done. I love that bonnet so much. It has a real silk ribbon ties on it. Yeah, I don't get to wear that bonnet nearly enough, but oh my gosh, I love that bonnet so much. So yeah, this is my time here for that bonnet. My other bonnet is from Anna Ward & Bowersmith. It is an open work straw bonnet, and I love that bonnet too. That probably comes in as close second for favorite bonnet. The reason it's not my favorite is because I was the one who trimmed it, and I don't like the way I trimmed it, honestly. There's bows like right on either side of my cheek, and I don't like it because I can hear the rustling. I need to retrim it. I'm thinking a different color might help. I'm thinking a different style of ribbon, maybe something a little bit like a plaid or something with a little bit more visual interest might excite me a little bit more. So I'm still looking at originals, deciding exactly what I want to do with it, but I do need to do something with that bonnet. Technically, this little era right here is my favorite era for bonnets, only because nearly all of my bonnets have been done by professional milliners or millinerses, which is probably why I enjoy them so much. Like, I don't buy bonnets very often. They are very expensive. I usually buy frames or kits from Danielle, and then I do most of the work because that fits in within my budget a lot better than buying a finished bonnet. So I did buy the sunbonnet off her. That was a necessity. Like, I lost my luggage at an event and I needed a sunbonnet, so I bought it off her. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have made it myself. But it's nice to have something that's already done. Like, it's just nice to have something that's done professionally. And then, of course, the open work straw bonnet by Anna. She's excellent, excellent milliners. And yeah, even with the one I made, I'm pretty sure I bought the form off Danielle, which is why the shape looks really good. I also have grand plans for a few winter hoods from Anna Ward & Bowersmith's patterns. I have her pumpkin hood or the wadded hood pattern. I was going to make it for the spring, ended up not needing it for the event, and so it's just been sitting there. I dyed fabric for it, so we're all ready to go. I just need to sit down and actually do it. It's going to be done probably this winter, and then I'll have that. And I like the ones with long lappets or lapels as well, so I'm thinking about doing one of those too. But also, I don't really need one because I do technically have a hood that works for this time period. I call it my peacock hood. I also have two breakfast caps, one that's trimmed in blue, one that's trimmed in purple. I made many, many years ago. So I do have them. I rarely wear them because I don't attend a lot of events where we have like a breakfast type situation where I need to wear something a little bit nicer. But I do have them, and I have worn them occasionally, and I tend to favor the blue one more, so I'm considering selling the purple one. I also kind of want to make these square type breakfast ones. They're really simple. I used to have one and it got lost, I suppose, because I haven't seen it in years. It was my favorite little breakfast cap. It needs to be held on with a little pin or a gitana or something, but I love that little style. It's super simple. It's literally like a handkerchief, and it's great for a breakfast cap, and it works through the 60s as well. So and then for outerwear, so I have a couple of shawls. I have more shawls than I need, but again, it's one of those things I can lend out to other people who don't have access to that quite yet, who need them. So I have like a brown wool one that is lined in silk. I have what else do I have? I have a red wool one that is lined in or faced in rabbit fur, and then I have a half shawl. So those are square shawls. I have the half rectangular shawl that is trimmed with a bunch of original Chantilly lace, And I think I have one more. Oh yeah, I have the French one, the plaid one. Yeah. And I think that's about it. So that would be my early 1850s wardrobe. So before we go, let's go ahead and I'll share my spreadsheet with you. There's a lot of yellow and red for this era, mostly yellow, which means I have the supplies or I have the project started. I just need to sit down and actually do it. Red means I need to purchase something. Those are lower on the priority list than the yellows, because if I already have the thing, why can't I just convince myself to sit down and actually, knock some projects out? I used to do a project busting series where I would take 3 to 5 similar projects that didn't take a lot of time, and I would just knock them out in a single video, and I probably need to start doing that again. Green means the item is good to go and complete, and blue means the same, but it's on display on the museum. That way I don't lose track of what's at the museum. I suppose there is a lot of green for this era. I just feel like there's a lot of yellow that I need to work on. And so that's about it for today. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.